Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode. We hope you enjoy it. Oh, don't forget, if you can please subscribe and share, we'd really appreciate it. We'd like to see those numbers go up, and we appreciate all those people who have subscribed in the past, so thank you very much. Now this video, we're doing something a little different. It's the first multicam video that I've done. So let's see what we got. So without further ado, on with the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the opening ceremony. Color guard, advance the colors. Color guard, halt. Post the colors. Scout salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the scout law, and help other people at all times, keep myself physically strong, and stay awake and morally straight. The scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Do. Would everyone please be seated? The red of my flag is the light blood of brave men ready to die or worthily live for this, our country. The white of my flag is for purity, cleanliness of purpose, thought, word, and deed. The blue of my flag is for faith and loyalty, like the eternal blue of the star-filled heavens. My name is Ethan Fortuna, and I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for coming. I will be your Master of Ceremonies today. Good afternoon. I would like to introduce our honored guests and ask them to stand. And the only ones I have written down here are the veterans here, so if you would stand and be recognized.
All veterans And
Oh, I'll
if you
bet.
can stand, just raise your hand. We got Bill Dangro back here, and Bob Hubbard. Oh, and Harry Fritz. Where are the other veterans?
At this point, I call upon all students to ask God's blessing upon the ceremony.
Heavenly Father, we ask that you bless this gathering of family and friends from near and far who have come together today to honor and celebrate Bryan, his earnings, of the highest ranking in Stone magazine. Father, we also ask your blessing on the Lakes family, Scout leaders, and fellow Scouts who guided and supported Bryan along the path to youth. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Right, Ashley, please come up for her guest speaking.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Bryan Lakes Eagle Scout Ceremony. Most of you know me, but for those who do not know me, I am Bryan's sister, Ashley Lakes. Tonight, I have the honor of introducing our guest speaker, Edward, aka Chip Fletcher. Ed is a retired lieutenant colonel in the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. He is also a retired Scoutmaster and Boy Scout, along with being a training specialist here at Lebanon VA Medical Center. My parents describe him as friendly, a good listener, hard worker, and has a sense of humor. So Chip, we are looking forward to hearing your speech. Distinguished guests, please help me welcome Ed Fletcher.
As you can see from uniform, I'm not quite retired. I just came from active duty at Fort Indian Town Gap, which is why I'm still in uniform. But there I serve as Lieutenant Colonel Fletcher. I'm in charge of the medical detachment down at Fort Indian Town Gap. And I would like to say what an honor and privilege it is to be here tonight, to be able to speak to all of you, to congratulate and honor Bryan and his wonderful accomplishments, and also to honor those who have helped him there along the way, those leaders, Scoutmasters, and of course those family members as well who are there always in terms of guiding our youth to this path in life. And even for those of you who have taken the time out to come and participate in this ceremony, it's wonderful that you're here. And it's interesting because I started off in Cub Scouts, when I was just little, and then when I got older, I got into Boy Scouts, and the life lessons that you learn from these endeavors are just innumerable and will serve you throughout the rest of your life in terms of the challenges you face and the various obstacles that you need to overcome. And I'll just give you some examples of that. It's kind of interesting because I remember when we went on the scouting trip and we went on a canoe trip to the Adirondacks in New York. And so there we were out in the wilderness, and we were, of course, making our own fires, cooking our own food. We had to string the backpacks up in the trees so the bears wouldn't get to them as well. And there's grizzlies out there and everything. And so, we were briefed on all of this. And of course, our Scoutmasters paved the way. And it was just a wonderful experience for me. And it taught me how to camp and how to build fires and how to survive out there. And just taking these lessons with me, of course, I graduated from high school and I moved into the military. Now, I always like to do things big, okay? That's the thing. When I was younger, I played football because there's just something about that collision that I liked. It was just awesome. And then I wrestled as well. And the thing about wrestling was that I felt like a gladiator. It was just out there one-on-one, everybody watching you, and you would engage and prevail. And there was nothing like that to me. And so as I went into the military, I remember going to the recruiter, and there I saw Field Artillery inscription King of Battle. That was it. I saw these huge 155 howitzer cannons, and then I thought, oh yes, that's for me. And so basically, I first went into field artillery, and those things have a range of about 18 miles. Go boom! And so that's what I did for the first 2 years of my enlistment. And of course, I have tinnitus, which we all do in field artillery. And then, after a while, once again, continuing in the military, I went to college. And I was very fortunate to get an ROTC scholarship. And then upon graduation, I moved to Pennsylvania. And then, of course, I went into the infantry. Queen of battle. I thought that was a good fit after spending time in field artillery for a while. And so it was interesting because if you like camping, that's the way to go in the infantry. Because I remember going to Fort Benning to the School of Infantry, and I remember you go and get what's called the TA-50, and so they give you all of your equipment, and as they're passing up this equipment, I got through and I noticed I had no tent. No half shelter. And I went to the individual in charge and said, excuse me, sir, but you forgot to give me a tent. And he just laughed and laughed. Boy, you ain't gonna need no tent out there. And he was right. We lived like deer. When we went out into the infantry. And of course, because of my background in field artillery, they made me a mortar platoon leader. So I had the mortars as well as being in the infantry. And so it was just an interesting experience. And so I'm just saying that these life challenges, the things that I learned in scouting, the things that I learned in regards to preparation there served me well as I went through my entire life and moved into the military. And just to move back even further, once again, going back to my youth, one of the things that I enjoyed, and I got interested in this through scouting and service projects, I would spend much of my summers at a place called Sky Lake. It's operated by the United Methodist Church, and there we would have youth camps that would come up every summer. And every summer they had the Reverend Lucan's camp, which served disabled children and adults. And so I would go up there, and as a youth, I would spend my summers first as an assistant counselor, then as a counselor, and then I became an actual staff member, and I did that as part of the service project, and later on that evolved into a part-time job for me. And of course, later on in life, I had children. And my third child was born, he was diagnosed with autism. And so there, not only am I applying those skills that I learned back then, but with my own family, as I have to teach my child how to live and survive in a world where he has symptoms beyond his control. These lessons I learned through scouting. Once again, as I'm moving through life, it's kind of interesting because you learn challenges. See, that's the neat thing about scouting too, is that you learn essentially through these merit badges, through overcome these obstacles, you learn how to overcome adversity and to persevere and to do things even when it's tough, even when it's difficult. And by doing that, you gain confidence. Because I remember going into the infantry, I remember thinking, okay, I got this. I've been in the woods before. I've been in there for long periods of time. When we were on the Adirondacks out in Canada, there wasn't anything out there but elk, moose, and bear. And when you got out there far enough, you weren't getting out except through helicopter. You needed to have your stuff packed right, or you were in trouble. And I did that. And because I did that, now I'm moving into a vocation where I'm an infantryman and doing that same thing. And I remember during one field training exercise, I had to stay up 72 hours straight. And so you graduate from doing one thing to another, and then you move into a situation, and now when I go without a night's sleep, if I have to stay up with my son, I'm able to say to myself, I got that. I've done worse. I've had it tougher. And as you can say that to yourself, it enables you to approach life with confidence. That's the wonderful thing about scouting, of what you're doing. You're building confidence. You know, another thing that I do, I also teach at Harrisburg Area Community College. I teach sociology, substance abuse classes, human development, gerontology. I work as a social worker for the most part. And as I do those things, I reflect upon what prepared me for those aspects of life. And as you go back, it started in my youth. It started with facing the challenges of scouting, camping, doing those things, working through those merit badges, I'm going to ask all of you a question, and I don't want you to answer it. I just want you to get it in your mind. I want you to think of the accomplishment in your life that you are most proud of. Now, after you have that in your mind, I'm going to ask you another question. Was it easy? Everybody's shaking their heads. Because the direct amount of pride you take in an accomplishment or an event is in direct proportion to the blood, sweat, tears, and effort that you had to put into it. Anything that's worth doing is worth sacrifice. Sacrifice means giving up something good for something better. That's how development takes place. This is how character is shaped, folded, and this is when the metal is tested later in life and you are able to accomplish those things that you set out to do. You are laying the foundation for that, for those of you who are in scouting. For those of you who are moving through these accomplishments, this is what you are enabling yourselves to do, and it will carry you throughout your entire lives in regards to what you're doing today. And that's the neat part about it. You're able to move back and you're able to draw upon those accomplishments. You're also able to draw upon your defeats as well. You know, it's interesting because a lot of what builds character is how you face failure. I want to tell you a story. My very first day here at the Lebanon VA Medical Center, I was hired as a social worker back in July of 1989. And in my first assignment, I was placed on the locked unit where you have our psychiatry patients. And you even have some patients that are there, it's what we call under commitment, meaning they're there involuntarily. Because they have symptoms that are so severe, they might be a danger to themselves or others. So they're not allowed to come out. So they told me this as I went up to the unit. And back then, people had privileges, and you would let them out based on whether or not the doctor gave them a privilege card. So I had a key, and I had instructions. And you know what? I kept it all these years. The very first key they gave me, it's this one right here. This is the very first key they gave me at the Lebanon VA Medical Center. This is what used to turn the locks on the doors here. Okay, and of course we have no use for them now because now I got this fancy thing, you know, that basically enables me to slide and open and everything. But I used this key. And so I went up, and as soon as I started opening the door, boom, this patient had his face pressed right up against the glass. And I said, "Excuse me, sir, but can you step back?" And so, you know, he stepped back, and so I opened the door with the key. I came in, and he said, "I have a privilege card, I need to get out, I have a pass." And I said, "Oh, fine, well, just, can I see it?" And as I reached for it, he kind of moved his hand forward, so I had to take a step forward. I took it, and just as I went forward, he went right around me and went out the door, and here I am looking at a blank privilege card. I had just let a patient escape that wasn't allowed out. And of course, the first thing I have to do is lock the door, lest everyone else leave. Well, here's the thing. You know, I didn't know what else to do, so I essentially went after the patient. And by that time, he was down the stairs and out the door, and he was running from building 18 to 17, which is the very front of the building. And I pulled up right alongside him, and I kept running there. I'm really glad they didn't have YouTube back then because somebody would have caught this on tape, I'm sure. But yeah, I pulled up right alongside of him, and I says, I said, "Can we stop for a minute?" He said, "Sure," because there it was, just dressed in pajamas, robes, waving through the air as we were running, and I finally was able to talk him to pull over, and I said, "Where are you going?" And he said, "I'm going to go up to building 17. I catch the bus there." And he was right. The bus comes every hour on the hour, 10 up, to take him into downtown. And I says, "Well, you know what? You don't have any clothes. You don't have any money. I bet you don't even have fare for the bus." "Yeah, you're right. Can I have some?" I said, "Look," I says, "I'm your social worker." I said, "It's going to look real bad, if I let you leave without clothing, without medicine, without anything to take care of you. And you probably haven't had lunch yet. Would you just come back with me, and I'll get you some lunch, and then we'll see about what we can do to get you out of here." And he says, "Okay, I'll go back with you." So we walked back. And of course, when we walked back through the door. Now remember, none of the staff have ever seen me before, okay? So here I do I'm coming back with this patient, and they're yelling, "Who are you? What are you doing with this guy out? How did you get a key?" And just everything else. And so I finally have to explain to them, "I'm a social worker." Sweaty and so finally, it was so funny. So basically, I explained to the staff, okay, this is what happened. I'm so sorry. And then they says, "Oh, well, good. Oh, we're so glad you were able to get him back." And as we were conversing in a circle, the one nursing assistant comes and breaks in, and he says, "Somebody's got to go back and talk to this patient because he's back there packing. He thinks he's going." And everybody looks at me immediately. They just stare at me, and it's like, all right, I guess I'll go back. So once again, I went back, and he was packing, and I said, "Call Mr. Smith." They said, "Mr. Smith," they said, "I know you want to go now, but I haven't had time to get the doctor to write the order. He needs to write prescriptions for your medications. We need time to get this together, and I haven't notified the residential care home that you'll be coming back. I need to take care of all these things that take care of you." I said, "Could you just do me a favor and just wait a couple days until I can settle all this for you?" And he said, "Fine, I guess I can do that for you. You're new." And he closed the suitcase up, and he was doing me a favor. So, but once again, see, these are the things that, once again, you learn to overcome obstacles. And it was because of previous experiences of learning how to communicate, learning how to deal with disabled, people, and learning how to treat people with respect, even under adversity. See, all of these things, it's kind of interesting. I'm just looking at this pamphlet right here, where it says, "On my honor, I will do my best." And of course, it enumerates these principles of obeying the law, being prepared, do a good turn daily. See, that's the other thing. Service. Huge motto in terms of scouting. Because when we follow that Eagle Trail, we learn to do whatever's right, no matter what others may think. And this is difficult to do at times. Sometimes you stand alone in certain instances where you're doing the right thing. It's not easy. As a sociologist, I remember one experiment. It's actually a man by the name of Osh did it, and I just want to kind of review this with you. True story, true experiment. Osh decided that he would study the effects of peer pressure. So he set up an experiment where he brought 7 people in the room. Now I want you to pretend that you're this individual, okay? You walk into a room, you're one of 7 individuals. You see 5 people are already there, you occupy the 6th chair, and then pretty soon the last person comes in, they occupy the 7th chair. And what Osh shows you are 3 lines. One is 2 feet long, the other is 1 foot, and the other is 6 inches. A, B, and C. And he tells you, underneath your chair, you will find 3 lines, 3 cards with corresponding lines. When I point to one of these lines, I want you to hold up the card that corresponds with this line. And you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is infantile. Why am I here?" So Osh would point to line B, the one that was a foot long. First person holds up the foot long, B, 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 goes down the line. You hold up B. So does the 7th person. Then he points to the short one, 6 inches. It's obvious what the right answer is. Everybody holds up their 6-inch card. You do the same, so does the 7th. Then something happens in the 3rd round. He points to A, the 2-foot-long line, and the first person holds up 6 inches. A. Next person, A. A. They're holding up the 6-inch one, and you, of course, hold up the 2-foot line. And then the 7th holds up the 6-inch one. And all of a sudden it goes like that. Case after case after case. And this is what Osh discovered. That 75% of the time, individuals intentionally gave the wrong answer just to fit in. There wasn't even any coercion. There was no punishment. Nobody made fun, but just simply being different gave that desire to cave. Only 25% of individuals in that experiment held to their answer that they knew was correct 100% of the time. That's the nature of the beast. That's the human nature of us. We want to fit in. But there will come a time, and once again, not everyone's a scout. Not everyone will make that commitment. Not everyone is capable of that sacrifice. The fact that you are makes you special. The fact that you're able to do what you've done shows a level of commitment that already serves as being extraordinary. You want to be part of that 25% who will stand and do what the creed tells us to do, which is to do what is right, no matter what others might think. You'd be surprised at how few will do this. And based upon that experiment, you see that it's true. So that's what you're preparing for. I remember my father, who was instrumental in guiding me, he got me a graduation card, and it said, "Do not follow wherever the path may lead. Instead, forge your own path where others may follow." And that's what I would encourage you to do. At times, you'll need to move off the trail to move on your own. Do what you feel inspired to do. Those of you who are young and still looking for a career, let me tell you how to choose a career. The first thing you need to do is make a list of all the things you love to spend your time doing. All the things that if you could do would make you happy, write them down. And just write them down as a free association type thing. That's step number one. Step number two, circle those things that you do better than most other people. For instance, I might put down I love basketball, but I'm mediocre at best. So my chance of being a professional, it could happen, stop laughing. Okay, but you circle those things that you're better at than most people. Step number three, find the vocation or job that allows you to do those things you just circled. Because if you pick something that you love to do, it will never be drudgery. You will excel. You will move beyond your peers who got into it for other reasons. And you will make money, I promise you. Doing what you love. If you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. It is possible to make a lot of money but be emotionally bankrupt. It reminds me of the Christmas Carol, where the spirit, Jacob Marley, who had died 8 years past, comes to Scrooge. And Scrooge tries to offer him comfort, but Jacob Marley says, "I wear the chains I forged in life. I made it yard by yard, link by link. Link by link, yard by yard." No, that's good. This is awesome. No, link by link, yard by yard. And so it's interesting because then, of course, Scrooge says, "You're fettered. Can I do anything for you?" And he says, "Nay. But I had come for your welfare." He says, "But I wear no chains." And Jacob Marley responds by saying, "You wear those chains. You've worn those, and it's been a ponderous chain as long as mine since I've been dead for 8 years. You've labored on it since. It's a ponderous chain." And it's interesting because Scrooge has to come to the realization that all his efforts of making money are nothing without relationships. And Jacob Marley tries to tell him this. He says, "I am now doomed to walk through the earth, only witnessing those things that might have been. Love, humanity, compassion, all those things I should have done in life, I am now doomed to walk the earth only to witness those things that might have made me happy, without the ability to participate, without the ability to engage." Scrooge once again tries to offer him comfort and say, "Jacob, you're always a good man of business." To which he replies, "Business, mankind was my business. Love, kindness, compassion, all of those things that I could have had, but I never was able to do it because I did not understand those things outside of my money-changing hole. But it is not too late for you." So once again, Do those things that give you joy. Do those things that make you happy. Do those things that require sacrifice, yet at the same time lead you in a direction of where you want to go. So that at the end of your life, it's entirely possible to climb that ladder of success only to find out your ladder's leaning up against the wrong wall. Don't let that happen. Do what you're inspired to do. And by doing those things, you will be successful. And the same things that make you successful here in scouting will make you a success in your career, and they'll make you success as human beings. And you'll be able to look back without regret. You have laid the foundation for this by wearing the uniform. Once again, another treasured experience. Scouting teaches you how to wear the uniform. And look at this. You know, the first thing they have you do is wear the uniform. I could just go on and on. I'm not going to go on and on because I've already taken up enough time. But if I had time, I could just go on for hours about life lessons and about the things that I've been taught through scouting and through the principles that are taught there. And they are more precious than gold or pearls. And these thoughts I leave with you. And once again, congratulations to Bryan, and great thanks to all of you. Congratulations to the scouts who are here, and also gratitude to those who help in this endeavor as well. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I took his stuff. Let's see how you overcome adversity now. Okay, now let's test.
With that, now presents Scott Goodshall.
Okay, I now declare this Court of Honor in session. Today we have the honor and pleasure of recognizing Bryan Likes for the award of Eagle Rank. This is an important and serious matter. In full awareness of the challenge of these times, the parents and leaders of these candidates have labored long and faithfully to develop them to be alert and to participate in citizenship through the scouting program. Their efforts culminate tonight in the presentation of the Eagle Scout badge. The success of these efforts will become evident in the way these Eagle Scouts, this Eagle Scout, will set the social pattern for all the lives they may touch. Democracy is a fresh conquest for each generation.
When a boy becomes a Boy Scout, there should be instilled within him that which we call the spirit of scouting. This lighted candle symbolizes that spirit. Because the spirit of scouting embodies the fine principles of Scoutwism law, it becomes a shining beacon of inspiration. Alone, this light may be feeble, but when multiplied by the millions of boys in scouting, it can become very powerful indeed. To earn the highest rank in scouting, a scout must spend a great deal of time and effort. Therefore, the occasion that recognizes his accomplishments should be memorable. Tonight, we shall follow Light the Eagle Trail as we recognize the accomplishments of Bryan Likes. After a boy enters scouting, the scout law that he promises to obey begins to guide his life. One by one, using the flame from the spirit of scouting, we shall light the symbols for each part of the scout law. There are 12 parts. Each is is an important foundation in the building of strong character. Lighting that. A scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. In the Scouthood, the young scout promises upon his honor to do his best to do his duty, first to God and his country, second to other people by helping them at all times, and third to himself by keeping himself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. You see how the light from the spirit of scouting is now beginning to grow and become brighter. You will have the rest of it come up. Now, in the distance looms the hazy outlines of Eagle Summit, flanked by the lesser peaks that represent the star and life ranks. To the new scout, they are very far away, but they will come a lot closer as the light from the spirit of scouting continues to spread. The scout begins as a tenderfoot. The tenderfoot badge is the first rank a scout receives. It stands at the foot of the Eagle Trail. Once inspired by the spirit of scouting, he won't stay a tenderfoot very long. Putting a few simple achievements behind him, he will shortly climb to the rank of second class. The requirements for second class become more difficult. The scout must learn to be self-sufficient in the outdoors and continue to render service to others. Now the scout is ready for the challenge to attain first class. Although the requirements become more difficult, he keeps climbing until finally comes the day when he tops the first summit along the Eagle Trail. There he receives his first class badge. A broad field of merit badges awaits the first class scout. More than 100 merit badges guide the scout to explore careers, hobbies, and community interest items. The scout needs but a total of 6 to conquer the Star Scout Summit. Probably a lot sooner than thought possible. The scout finds himself standing on Star Ridge. Thus, through leadership, service, and achievement, he conquers the first of 3 great peaks along the Eagle Trail. The trail to the next summit, Life Scout Peak, isn't easy. There is leadership to demonstrate, service to others, and plenty of hard work in mastering 5 additional merit badges and helping fellow scouts. The higher the scout climbs, the fewer travelers he meets along the trail. Yet, there are no impossible barriers along the way. This Life Scout's goal can be achieved, but it takes real effort. While the rank of Life Scout is a coveted one, and deserving to all who obtain it, the Eagle Trail does not end there. It leads on towards the higher summits. The pathway narrows and steepens considerably as it winds along stages of personal achievement and mountain pastures of troop accomplishment. Mile by mile, the trail becomes more trying. Many challenges must be conquered in these last miles. Before the hikes on and along the Eagle Trail can be completed, additional merit badges must be earned. Some of them are very difficult, and leadership and service to others are not forgotten. Only with the greatest persistence and courage can the scout gain the thrill of victory that comes while looking back down the trail from the very top of the Eagle Summit.
Eagle candidate Bryan Lakes. You are to be congratulated for reaching the highest peak of the Eagle Trail. Your diligence and hard work have paid off. If you, along with your mother and father, will come forward, your Eagle Badge rank will be presented. You have made Troop 440 very proud. May the qualities that inspired you to this achievement continue to lead you on to even greater success in your life. As an Eagle Scout, the eyes of all scouting, yes, the eyes of the world, will be upon you. The traditions of Eagle Scout are high. May you live up to those traditions, always guided by the spirit of scouting. Represented by these blazing cannons, feel the heat before you, the Eagle Badge that you're about to receive is symbolic of this spirit of scouting. Mrs. Lakes. Pin this Eagle Badge. Pin this Eagle Badge on your son's chest so the world may know that he is an Eagle Scout. Bryan, miniature Eagle Badge. This is the mother. Okay, the Eagle Scout Bryan Lakes. He's pinned the miniature badge over his mother's arm in this case. Okay, in recognition of her love, encouragement, faith, and trust in your future. As an Eagle Scout, may you never disappoint me. Again. Let's start now. Eagle Neckerchief. Place this neckerchief around your son's neck to tell the world that you will continue to support him as he grows into a man. Now, Bryan, this is the Eagle Scout Father's Pin. Given to your father, the Eagle Scout Father's Pin.
Good. Hank Blanks, please come up. I present to you the grandfather pin for the company, the Scouts and I'm going to do the 10 a.m. Please come up.
This is Pam Miller. She was his cubmaster.
So, I'm presenting you this gift for helping me get through Cub Scouts. You were the first to help me, like, encourage me to stay in scouting, and, like, teach me how to move on.
Use the boat I jumped into and fell out of the wreck.
Yeah.
Now he's safe. Not any other.
And then Scott Genshaw, I want to present this to you for helping me be my guide. For being my guide while Boy Scouting and making an impact, and showing me and and then Grandpa, I present to you the mentor pin for also guiding me on and showing me all the things I'm like, or not, I'm in Scouts. Yeah, Will the audience please rise and give Eagle Scout Bryan Lakes a round of applause? Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our Eagle Scout Court of Honor. Anyone wishing to congratulate Troop 440's newest Eagle Scout and his proud parents are invited to the reception immediately after our closing.
We have one more thing. Okay, this is entitled The Red Rose. Bryan, you now see the red roses, all of them. And I'd like to explain the meaning of the roses. The loveliness and the beauty of the flowers, symbolic of love, happiness, and togetherness that your mother has shown you throughout the years. Yet alone, one goal was obtained. She has been to it that your uniform was washed, pressed, and ready to go at a moment's notice. Did she have to be prepared also? Well, yes, she did. She had to transfer you to many functions. She had to live up to the Scout law, and that includes homework. Homework and homework, a lot of homework. There were times when supper had to be postponed or hurried up because you had to get to meetings, hikes, and camping, even though I know that wasn't your favorite thing, the camping stuff. You brought mud, dirt, insects, and smoke-filled clothes into her clean house. How often was the phone tied up? This is the only thing that I didn't agree with this whole writing here that I received from someone. Was how often was the phone tied up because you were checking on details? I wish it was. I mean, that's something we're always, Charlie knows back there, and that's how we're always trying to instill into the boys. Please, come to meetings, call, get the word out of what's supposed to be done. Or take it with merit badge counselors. And who took you to counselors, hikes and camporees, troop campouts, or to the patrol meeting? Mom would always ask questions to check on your progress. Always. Definitely with the merit badges, for sure. She never encouraged you to quit or to take the easy road to failure. I think that was kind of both of us. She was driving a moving force behind you to help you obtain the rank of Eagle Scout. So to her then should go this honor of being presented with the red rose or roses to show all that has been worthy, every moment of all her love, happiness, and togetherness that she now displays in all the splendor here today. I ask you, Bryan, to take this rose, to represent it to your mother, and seal it with a kiss if you want. If you don't want to be embarrassed by everybody. But anyway, she will never be an Eagle Scout. She will never be an Eagle Scout, although there are women in now, girls officially. You know, we had them already anyway. She will always know that in your heart she molded her son in obtaining that wonderful stature in scouting. Always throughout her life, whenever she sees the red roses, she will always think back upon this moment in her life when this was all made possible because of the special qualities that are found in scouting mothers. May the fragrance and the beauty of this rose embellishment and serve as an image in your mind of the red, white, and blue eagle suspended from a ribbon, so constant and true, presented to your son here today. All right? And it's not only the mother, it's the grandparents. So I believe you have one that represents the grandma. Yep.
Grandma,
Okay, and I couldn't let go of this one I also have to do. And this goes back even to something Pam Miller would have read back in the Cub Scout days. It goes like this. Where's my little baby gone? The Cub Scout mother asked, and sing the songs of glee. And after that he was a bear, and then a Weeblo Scout. He learned the Boy Scout oath and law in fun full amount. Crossed over to Boy Scout and shown that kindness, what kindness meant. His best is what he'd have to be everywhere he went. Where is my baby gone, baby boy gone? The Boy Scout's mother asked. He went by here a while ago. Did you see him pass? To hike the trails and pitch a tent, to swim the lakes and streams, to kindle a fire under the stars. These were his everyday dreams. Down the long trail to Eagle, he smilingly went his way. The many adventures that he led shaped the man we see today. Well, a little more. He'll be in there. Learn to be a citizen, a helping hand to lend. He learned what cheerful service means and how to be a friend. Where's my baby boy gone? The Boy Scout's mother asked. He went to be a Boy Scout and he grew to be a man. All right, let's hear it for Bryan one more time. It's been a long way.
All right, so we have our benediction with Warren. Eagle charge.
Sorry about that. Okay, these are not in every Eagle Scout ceremony, but we're going to do an Eagle Charge tonight. Usually all Eagle Scouts in attendance are asked to stand and join the Scout being honored when the Eagle Charge is administered. So if you would please, if you are an Eagle Scout, once an Eagle, always an Eagle, please come forward. I have an honor of giving you the Eagle Scout Charge on the occasion of the elevation to the highest award of Scout. The Scouts of all nations constitute one of the most meaningful and significant movements in the world's history. You have been judged by the Boy Scouts of America as being worthy of this honor. All who know you rejoice in your achievement. Your position, as you well know, is one of honor and responsibility. You are a marked man. As an Eagle Scout, you have assumed a solemn obligation to do your duty to God, to country, to your fellow Scouts, and to mankind in general. This is a great undertaking. As you live up to your obligations, you bring honor to yourself and to your brother Scouts. America has many good things to give you, and your children after you. But these good things depend, for the most part, on the quality of her citizens. Our country has had a great past. You can help make the future even greater. I charge you to undertake your citizenship with solemn dedication. Be a leader, but lead only toward the best. Lift up every task you do, and every office you hold to the highest level of service to God and to your fellow man. So live and serve, that those who know you will be inspired by your finer living. We have too many who use their strength and their brains to exploit others and to gain selfish ends. I charge you to be among those who dedicate their skills and ability to the common good. Build America on the solid foundation of clean living, honest work, unselfish citizenship, and reverence for God, and whatever others may do, you will leave behind your record of which every other Scout may be justly proud. I will now ask you to make the Scout sign, all of you please, if you're able, and repeat after me. I realize my obligation
I realize my obligation
to my fellow men,
to my fellow men,
my home, my country,
my country,
and my God.
and my God.
I will at all times do my best to assist others,
I will at all times do my best to assist others,
to live with honor,
to live with honor,
loyalty,
loyalty,
courage,
courage,
and service,
and service,
and to be a living example
and to be a living example
of the Scout oath and law
of the Scout oath and law
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Two. Your conduct along the trail has been excellent, but one more thing is important: your future. As an Eagle Scout, you become a guide to other Scouts. You become an example in your community. Remember that your actions are now a little more conspicuous, and people will expect more of you. To falter in your responsibility would reflect not only on you, but on your fellow Eagles and all of Scouting. The torch you carry is not only yours, but it's also ours. Thank you. Mrs. Warren.
I think I might be privileged to say that I have listened to this young man play the violin for many, many years. When he comes to our house, play the violin with his sister, and listen to the teacher with my wife. I think she should really have been made to pray at this time, but the wishes of the Scout organization will let me have time to speak instead. Let us pray. An Eagle Scout Court of Honor marks the end of the journey and the commitment to another, a commitment to better scouting where many participate, better citizenship, and a better example of leadership. Bless all of our future endeavors. May we all be committed to Scouting's ideals, which instruct us to lead better lives. May we always seek the obvious and find the unknown. May we always follow our own trails. God be with us until we meet again. Amen.
Family of those Scouts in attendance may come up and enjoy their meal first.
Is there okay this table? Your plastic bag back there.